Today I want to talk about something that might sound strange at first. You're not actually indecisive, you're afraid of what your decision says about you. And I get it, that's not how it feels when you're sitting there, stuck between two paths, or replaying that what-if scenario for the 5th time this week. But here's the thing. Most people don't hesitate because they're confused. They hesitate because they're terrified that once they choose, they'll be seen differently by others, and even worse, by themselves. See, we grow up thinking that indecision is a logic problem. If I just get more information, I'll know what to do. If I wait a little longer, it'll feel clearer. But 9 times out of 10, you already know what you want. You already know what the next step is. You just can't bring yourself to take it, because it threatens the version of you that you've been holding on to. And the mind is clever. It doesn't say, I'm scared of changing. It says, let me research just a bit more. It says, let's weigh the pros and cons one more time. It creates noise to protect the image. Because, every real decision is actually a small identity shift, and if that shift is visible, if it risks judgment or embarrassment, we tend to delay it. Sometimes, honestly, what looks like careful planning or smart strategy is actually just self-protection in disguise. We convince ourselves we're being prudent, but deep down, we're just trying to avoid the discomfort that comes with change. Think about it for a second. How many times have you stalled on applying for something just because you thought people would wonder, who does she think she is? Or maybe you avoided switching careers because, your friends already know you as the tech guy or the teacher. Or maybe you held back from posting something online because it wasn't on brand for the identity you've built, even if honestly, no one else actually cares. That's not indecision, that's self-protection disguised as strategy. And honestly, what makes it worse is that it feels responsible. You're being careful, you're thinking it through. But deep down, you know it's not really about the options, it's about what your choice might cost you socially, emotionally, even existentially. No one wants to feel like a fraud, no one wants to look like they're trying too hard, and no one wants to be seen starting over. So we stay in the middle, floating, endlessly tinkering, waiting for certainty that's never coming because the real fear isn't about being wrong, it's about being seen differently. And here's where it gets even trickier. The longer you stay undecided, the safer you feel. But the more restless you become. Because part of you is still trying to grow, still whispering, come on, just go for it. And the other part? It's pulling the brakes, whispering back, but what if this changes how people see you? That tension isn't weakness. It's a sign of a deeper shift trying to happen. And that's what we're going to unpack. Here's where this gets uncomfortable. Most people think they're making decisions based on logic, goals, maybe even values. But what they're actually doing is something else entirely. They're protecting the version of themselves they've already shown the world. And that's not a flaw, it's survival. Your brain is wired to keep your identity stable. Not because it's the best version of you, but because it's the known version. And the known version feels safe, even if it's keeping you stuck. So when a decision threatens that identity even just a little bit, it gets flagged as dangerous. Say you've always been the quiet one, or the laid-back one, or the reliable one who never rocks the boat. Now you're offered a leadership role, or you want to post something that actually matters to you, or you're thinking about changing careers. The decision might make perfect sense on paper, but deep down, something's resisting. That something is the version of you that everyone's already accepted. And making a different choice means becoming someone new in public, not just doing something new, but, risking being seen as someone different, someone bolder, louder, more ambitious, someone who might get criticized, or ignored, or misunderstood. And your brain, being very clever, says, let's just wait. It tells you to gather more info. It tells you it's not the right time. It distracts you with smaller, safer decisions, so you still feel busy. It's not about the decision, it's about the identity it threatens. Growth will always feel like ego friction. No matter how ready you think you are, there's always that little bit of resistance inside. It's just part of the process, you know? And this can happen in small ways too. You might hesitate to start a new fitness routine because it feels weird being that person. You might stall on raising your rates because you've always been the affordable one. You might avoid saying no to something because you've always been the helpful one. Every choice isn't just a change in behavior, it's a challenge to the story you've been telling about yourself. And when that story is deeply tied to how others perceive you, it makes even small shifts feel emotionally unsafe. But here's the truth no one tells you. Growth will always feel like ego friction because it is ego friction. It's the moment when who you are rubs up against who you're becoming, and your brain doesn't like that tension, so it masks it as indecision. But if you can recognize it for what it really is, not confusion, not delay, but fear of being seen differently, then you can start making real choices again. Not because they feel easy, but because they're aligned with the person you're ready to become. Let's talk about what happens when you stay stuck in that safe zone. On the surface, it doesn't look that bad. You're not failing, you're still functioning, you're just thinking, waiting, processing. But underneath that surface, there's a quiet erosion happening. Because every time you delay a decision that matters to you, not because it's unclear, but because you're afraid of what it might change, you teach your brain a subtle lesson. You teach it that discomfort equals danger. That momentum is a risk. That choosing means exposure. And so the space between who you are and who you want to become gets wider. You don't feel it all at once. It builds slowly, a little resentment, a little overthinking, a little burnout that you can't explain because technically, you haven't done anything yet. But that's the point. Indecision is exhausting. Not because of what it demands, but because of what it withholds. When you're stuck between paths, you never get the benefit of choosing either one. No clarity, no closure. No consequence, just loops. And the longer you stay in those loops, the more your self-trust erodes, because deep down, you know you're not stuck because the decision is hard. You're stuck because you're scared of what it might change, about how people see you, about how you see yourself, about whether you're really ready to stop floating. That awareness gets heavy. And eventually, it starts to hurt. You start to doubt yourself in other areas. You avoid smaller decisions too, because everything now feels like a potential threat. You begin to wonder if maybe you're just not meant to move forward. But that's not true. You're not broken. You're just in conflict. The part of you that wants growth is fighting the part of you that wants stability. And neither side is wrong. But at some point you have to choose. Do you keep maintaining the version of yourself that feels familiar, even if it's quietly costing you? Or do you allow yourself to become the person who makes bold, uncomfortable, clarifying moves? Even if it means being seen differently, this isn't about reckless change, it's about honest change. The kind that feels scary, not because it's wrong, but because it's real. And yeah, that's where we'll go next. Sometimes it's not about betraying your past, it's about evolving beyond it. Growth doesn't erase what came before, it builds on it. even when it feels unfamiliar or a bit uneasy. Here's the part no one talks about. Making a bold decision doesn't mean you're abandoning who you used to be. It doesn't mean you were wrong before. It just means you're ready to outgrow a version of yourself that got you here, but honestly, can't take you further. And that's not betrayal, that's evolution. But, most people don't give themselves that permission. They think growth has to be a hard break, a reinvention, a clean start, so they delay it. Because deep down they don't want to lose the identity that made them feel safe. But here's the thing, you don't have to throw the old version away, you just have to stop letting it run the show. The part of you that stayed quiet, it served you. The part that kept peace instead of speaking up, it protected you. The version that played it small so you could belong, it kept you from being alone. But now those same behaviors are holding you back. And if you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or emotionally tired, well, that's not because you're indecisive. It's because some part of you already knows it's time to let go. The goal isn't to erase who you were. It's to honor that version and choose a new one. One that's okay with being seen in a new light. One that's okay with being misunderstood, or judged, or even quietly ignored. Because the alternative is staying invisible to yourself. That's the real cost, not making the wrong choice, but never stepping into the one that could have shown you who you really are. So if you're standing at that edge between what's comfortable and what's calling, you don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Willing to be seen differently. Willing to outgrow a role that made sense for a long time, but no longer fits. Willing to step forward, even if your voice shakes, even if you don't have every answer yet. Because, momentum isn't built on clarity, it's built on courage. And clarity, well, that comes after the choice, not before. So maybe today, it's not really about making the perfect decision. Maybe it's just about reclaiming the part of you that already knows, and finally just letting it lead. If this gave you something to think about, go ahead and like the video so more people see it. And if you want more real, smart, no-fluff videos like this, hit subscribe. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's not medical, financial, legal, or lifestyle advice. Always talk to a qualified professional before making changes to your health, finances, lifestyle, or routines. Do your own research before acting on anything in this video. What you're hearing is based on public research and ideas available at the time of publication, and yeah, it may change as the world does.